So, good morning, everyone. Dear guests, we are happy to welcome you today at our event. Thank you so much for joining us and finding the time to visit us. We hosting this event every year, so we are happy to see new faces as well as everyone who joined our events previously. The focus of this event is electronic catalog, Prozorro Market, the medical component of it as a convenient procurement tool for hospitals to improve transparency in the area of state medical procurement. This topic is indeed relevant because over the course of 5 years of e-catalog operation, this year in early September, the very first procurement of medical goods was done using electronic catalog. Our team clearly remembers this moment because it's laid the foundation for the new age in the history of governmental medical procurements, and the catalog has conquered the market, and right now around 67% account for share of electronic catalog and electronic procurement system. Over 46,000 medical goods items are available on the catalog right now. This tool is comfortable and therefore some procurements are mandatory. It's around 100 categories of medical devices, around 200 categories of medicines. Before I start, let me tell you a bit about some housekeeping moments. So our event is divided in two parts. The first part is a presentational part where you will see several keynote speakers. You will see them. We have several surprises for you. And during the second part, we will have a panel discussion in a slightly unusual format. There will be no script, no repetitions. We will have just an open talk, open mic format discussion because right now we want to build high quality and constructive dialogue with hospitals. Hear a little bit about your experience and your feedback on use of catalogs so we can collect your feedback and make our tool even more efficient. As for air raid alarms, look, we all live in a time of great challenge, so if you hear a red alarm sirens, we will have no choice but proceed to the shelter. We will interrupt the event, go to the shelter, and then we will return to the hall. If we suddenly experience power outages and blackouts, please don't worry. We will need just 5 to 10 minutes to connect generators, so please don't go away. This event is now broadcasted on the social media, on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you have any questions, we kindly encourage you to ask your questions in the chat and we will make sure to answer your questions. Also, many of you, dear participants, asked questions during registration. We will make sure to answer all of them. And just a small remark from me, if you need simultaneous interpretation, at the entrance, we have a stand with headsets because we have some foreign guests here with us. And let me start with introductory part. And let me invite Miss Maria Karchevitz, Deputy Minister of Health, responsible for digitalization. Please, the floor is yours. Hello, everyone. Actually, September is very rich of various events in our industry. And just a week ago in Kiev, we had the large e-health summit where we discussed digital solutions and technologies in the healthcare industry. And today, just to continue this discussion, we are having a next event where we talk about digital solutions and tools that are helpful to make the governmental procurement process in medical area more transparent and efficient, and e-catalog Prozorro Market is one of such tools which is intended to make governmental procurements of pharmaceuticals, medical devices even more efficient. And we understand that this tool is so helpful thanks to competition. It helps to reduce the costs and make pharmaceutical pharmaceuticals and medical devices more accessible for our patients, as well as to prevent mitigate some corruption risks and harmonize governmental procurement procedures. We clearly see that this tool is popular since if we take a look at some figures then versus last year, the utilization of this tool has increased significantly dozens of times, and in the period between February and June, the cost of procurements using Prozorro Market has reached over 10 billion hryvnias, and it's actually possible thanks to our effort, thanks to state enterprise medical procurements of Ukraine and our partners, which we highly appreciate. And of course, thanks to our healthcare institutions, because you're using this tool as part of your work, and we see that it saves time, reduces the cost of medical goods, so 20% of savings. So today we have an amazing opportunity to discuss advantages of such solutions and plans for future development. Let me express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to medical procurements of Ukraine, because this is the institution that sets a trend in medical procurement, which is a pioneer in our industry. I'm sincerely grateful to our partner, which makes such solutions possible, and I'm sincerely grateful to representative of healthcare institutions, because we jointly making healthcare and pharmaceuticals more accessible for our patients, and we jointly implement technologies that help our Ukrainian to be healthier. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Maria. And now I would like to invite a person who has done a lot for e-catalog, who developed the very first categories. Miss Nadia Bigun, Deputy Minister of Economy, please tell us what has been done and what we can be proud about. Hello, everyone. I first of all express my sincere gratitude to our partners for their continuous support while we moving in the right direction towards improving the efficiency of performance. The medical procurement team for their perseverance and commitment, because at some point when they came to us and proposed to develop to launch some categories on Prozorro Market, we had some lengthy discussions. Sometimes they're still ongoing, because this courage, openness to changes, and commitment to improve the area of procurement is something we are often lacking, unfortunately. And our colleagues are showing great leadership here, and this leadership is truly important. Today, when I was driving to this meeting, I was thinking about some inspiring words I can share with you, just to inspire you to implement changes and improve the efficiency of your procurements. And I remembered that when we first announced the approval of the law, a few days ago, Verkhovna Rada passed in first reading the draft law to amend our legislation. This draft law provides for many changes, in particular related to European tools, European good practices. They will be implemented to our regulatory environment. Some new practices and more freedom for customers to make decisions, and higher responsibility as well. So this draft law brings the procurement industry to the brand new level, and we're transforming into a field which is supposed to build efficient procurement process within organizations. And now we see that, but many representatives of customers says, "Oh my God, more changes. We are so affected by this change in regulatory environment." And from the point of view of procurement role at the organizations, the idea behind this role is to always push and drive for changes. Efficient procurement managers are those people who constantly analyze the most recent procurement cycle, key takeaways, good things that need improvement, and try to make every new cycle better. These are efficient procurement managers. They're always moving forward, analyze previous periods, look for more opportunities, because if there is no movement forward, the degradation starts automatically. And the main fact is that the procurements are efficient at the organization and people responsible for procurements are supposed to take leadership and implement changes. It's a kind of core skill, core competence is needed for a person accepting this job. This is a job for those who want to drive changes in their organizations. So the teams who lead these trends, best practices and drive the industry forwards are the teams who set this, they are trendsetters. They guide us in the right direction. So I express my sincere appreciation to our colleagues. I know it's difficult. Sometimes you're struggling even when coordinating with us, but it's so important that you take in this leadership. You show how to implement new tools and approaches, and you drive our behemoth governmental system forwards. And a few words about what to anticipate from this new draft law. Prozorro Market was a big training drill exercise before implementation of procurement tool, which is of utmost importance for centralization of procurement. This is dynamic procurement system, so-called open frame, when a central procurement organization is doing pre-qualification of participants, develop the technical terms of reference, and launch this frame for participants. So throughout the entire effective period of this frame, they can join it, and it's also open for customers. So throughout the entire effective terms, the customers must also join. This is a super tool which is super efficient in the European Union. So it doesn't have much history. It's a quite innovative tool, but it's already implemented in many countries. And thanks to this tool, we have successfully addressed centralization issue and ensured efficient centralization. So now we have Prozorro Market, which was our training exercise before implementation of dynamic procurement system in Ukraine. So we have gained some experience, some understanding of how to digitalize it, because we know that many countries still have paper procedures, and we don't have many benchmarks for us. Here we are setting the trend. So from Prozorro Market, we will gradually shift to new tool, dynamic procurement system, for procurement exceeding the threshold. And this experience of Prozorro Market will be helpful for us. We will be able to use it when you operating this new tool, and this will create new opportunities for centralized procurement agencies. They will be able to cover the broader range of goods, and cover new directions. Where the market was quite tight. For example, it can be cleaning services, something we discussed. Is market able to move towards services, or we see the market just an instrument for simple goods? So we have this question, but in dynamic procurement system, we will have a new tool to centralize cleaning services, for example, or catering outsourcing services. It's also very important, it's a large market for hospitals, for other customers who need to provide meals and catering, and it's alternative route with those, so you don't need to invest into capex, into your own infrastructure, but rather outsource this service for better development. So dynamic procurement systems will open new opportunity to continue this existing practice of Prozorro Market and apply it to more challenging procurements and build more complicated strategies. So I think today in this hall, we mostly have people who have some experience with market. You see how market operates. You know that we expect a movement forward. And I really hope that you won't just consume it. You also will be people who invest in the market from point of view of defining the ways for development. So once again, I'm sincerely grateful to medical procurement team. Me and Vitali were those people who manually collected the very first profiles in the market. I remember that lancet, that syringes. It was a complicated work. You don't see it. It happens behind the curtain, but there is so much technical work being done. And these first steps were fueled by my belief in creating the sufficient tools for our customers, so our customers can save a lot of time and energy, and so they don't spend it on simple procurement but guide it in a different direction. So this work continues. We hope that it will continue to bring great pleasure. And of course, we also highly appreciate constructive feedback. It's something that is moving us forward. And I hope that today we will have a very useful day. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Nadia, for this amazing explanation of legislative amendments and for your support. It's of utmost importance. So, Prozorro Market catalog, it's not just about medicine. Right now, we have so many stakeholders that administer the central database of Prozorro and central procurement organizations, electronic platforms. Your support is also invaluable because together with us, you move in this project forwards. And if we talk about further development of catalog, I also highly appreciate the support by international partners, international, in particular USAID support and the project Safe and Efficient Safe Medicine for Ukrainians. You have supported us since the very beginning. And now I would like to invite Robin Martz, the Director of the Healthcare Office at USAID. Ms. Robin, please, the floor is yours. Hello, dear colleagues and partners.
This was a difficult act to follow from Marina and Nadia. So I join a very distinguished group of ladies up here, very strong and wonderful group of women. Thank you so much for having me at today's forum. I was also honored to be here 1 year ago. That was shortly after I arrived in Ukraine. So it's wonderful to see even a larger group in person and a larger group of people online. So it's wonderful to join you. I wanted to come today on behalf of USAID and the US government and just thank you, show appreciation for the Ministry of Health, Medical Procurement of Ukraine for your outstanding efforts and ongoing efforts to for transparency and anti-corruption. And this is a huge part of that. The gains made in anti-corruption space are really necessary to advance healthcare reform and improve access to safe, effective, and affordable medicines for all Ukrainians. So important. A core part of that enhanced transparency in the health sector and a priority of ours at USAID is to strengthen Ukraine's medical procurement systems. So establishing robust procurement bodies and tools that the government can use to save money and efficiently deliver medicines to those people that need it really shows and reflects the commitment of the government of Ukraine and the Ministry of Health for patient-centered care. So I think many people know, but in case you don't, USAID has supported the establishment of the medical procurement of Ukraine way back in 2018. And that has now grown into this wonderful, highly effective, very productive full-scale procurement body, and we're so proud to be here with you today and through that journey as well. USAID has supported the growth of MPU's Prozorro Market in the electronic catalog, or the e-catalog, since its inception in 2019. So over the last 2 years, USAID has helped strengthen the capacity of hospitals across the country using this tool and supporting their ability to swiftly procure priority medicines, supplies, and equipment. The transparent digital system helps align the health system with European standards and advance Ukraine's EU accession goals. So together, the MPU and Prozorro eCatalog have helped Ukrainian institutions save 520 million hryvnia in 2023, an additional 1.9 hryvnia in just the first half of 2024 alone on medical procurements. I'm going to say that entire sentence again because it is so important. MPU, Prozorro eCatalog have helped save Ukrainian healthcare institutions 520 million hryvnia last year and 1.9 billion just in the first half of this year alone. Let's give them a round of applause for that, please. That's incredible, really amazing. Yeah. So when we think about the context in which we're all living and working and the backdrop of Russia's brutal war against Ukraine, these massive savings are essential. They're essential for ensuring that there are more resources available to meet both ongoing critical health needs of Ukrainian citizens. USAID, through the SAFEMed activity, will continue to help grow, strengthen, and institutionalize the e-catalog. We aim to support MPU, increasing the number of medicines from the National Essential Medicine List in the e-catalog, facilitating simple and transparent procurement procedures, and generating enough revenue to cover cost and reinvest those in MPU. We continue to stand by the Ministry of Health and MPU and their important work to address the needs of patients and hospitals to support Ukraine's alignment with European standards, especially amidst unpredictable and evolving conditions due to this ongoing war. USAID will continue to work with MPU and the Ministry of Health as the government of Ukraine continues to advance health and pharmaceutical reforms to ensure a more professional, transparent, efficient healthcare system that is responsive to each and every Ukrainian. And we are proud to stand with all of you in order to do this. We are here, and I thank you again for inviting me to speak. Дякую.
Дуже дякую. Thank you, Robin. And by the way, due to USAID SAFEMed project, this event has become possible today. Now let me pass the floor to wrap up the introductory part and to proceed with the with the panel discussion. Mr. Adam Adamanov, Director General of the State Enterprise. I believe you've invited me just to ensure gender equality, so it will not take me long. So, well, now this is the month basically that we conducted first procurement on Prozorro Market of the first medical product, and it is symbolic that it was for Kharkiv Hospital. So above all, I'm grateful to our invincible Kharkiv part of our team from Kharkiv. The city is now suffering a lot. It's seriously affected by the Russian aggression. So thank you. We love your city. And thanks to all of our defenders, due to whom we can be here today and keep working. So now let me say the following. I will not focus on indicators and figures after what has been said. It's hard to add anything else because incredible thank you for your words, warmth, and being so open and sincere. Basically, in Ukraine, we have this context that efficient and transparent use of funds, especially at the state level, has always been the focus. And in the situation of martial law, this has become even more important for controlling and oversight authorities for the society. And it's good that we have this tool that relieves the burden from those who conduct procurements and the responsibility for the procedures of qualification and procurement, where this responsibility goes to those who specialize in that and who receive their salaries for that, category managers and lawyers who work at the centralized level. And we really believe that the savings that can be achieved, this money can be used for other procurement to increase the coverage with medical devices and meds. I promised not to quote figures, and I will not, because this has been mentioned already, but let me add the following. A lot of changes are ongoing, and we understand that that is very hard, and we are grateful to the Ministry of Economy for their leadership in upgrading the procurement legislation that's needed. We are also upgrading Prozorro Market. Last year, we had the first meeting, and hopefully you have experienced the change. You have witnessed the change that has happened. We heard the issues that you arose, and maybe we have not been able to address everything, but believe me, now there are more commodities, more profiles. We now have higher capacity of our service desk, and I know that previously it was a challenge. You had to wait long for feedback. Hopefully it will not take so long now. We see statistics and the number of complaints is much lower. We hope that this is due to that there are fewer issues, not that you stopped your procedures. So this product is available for you, for your hospitals. Of course, all of us work for patients, but access to patients is only possible due to you. You are asking people, not us. So us as a service, we can just develop the tools that will make it more convenient for you, and we always think about that, even if it doesn't seem that sometimes. I'm grateful to all the stakeholders who are here, and I'm very proud that after 5 years of operation of this tool, we are still here with the same team. Now, Prozorro, this is the central database. All the platforms that provide access to the central database provide for client service, work with suppliers. They do immense amount of work that is not that obvious now because it is under the hood. All the organizations, and basically we are more now, because previously there were not that many organizations that would fill in the catalog. Now there's 3. All the stakeholders, the Ministry of Health, always ready to support us, Ministry of Economy, SAFEMed, USAID, our donors, we are together. I'm proud that all of us are still together. We have not fought and broken up. So even when it was challenging, and I keep repeating that I believe that this project is the most successful PPP project in Ukraine, despite the definition of public-private partnership in the legislation. I'm not speaking about concessions or porters. I'm speaking about the essence, where the private sector, together with the public sector, are doing their best to facilitate the procurement process that would be transparent and use of funds were efficient. I'm also proud because we are lagging behind needs of hospitals because we didn't have that many healthcare professionals inside in the team. We have worked on that, and we understand that we could never have negotiate with you equally unless we have that expertise. So I'm happy to tell you that our e-catalog team is now led by a doctor, Ksenia Koval, and now the voice of hospitals, your needs will be very loud in the medical procurement because definitely, we will never forget about needs of hospitals, as Nadia, Maria have mentioned. E-Catalog, that's a very sophisticated product. A lot of processes, IT, technical processes, marketing, financial processes. So don't worry, Vitaly is still with us, and he has this technical expertise. He knows how the profiles are developed. He will always answer our questions. Even you can approach him now and during coffee break. So he's with us. Don't worry. We keep working, but the team is growing. And I hope that in this configuration, we will be able to serve your needs, to service your needs. And this instrument will be even better than last year. And thank you. And let's move on. Thank you, Adam. And now I'd like to pass the floor to the head of SMD, Irina Orlova, CEO. She will speak about dynamics of public procurements. You will see interesting insights and figures. Good morning, dear colleagues. I'm happy to see you all, and I'm glad that our friends and colleagues from medical procurement, from SAFEMed, that you are organizing this event so that we could share some ideas and summarize some trends and discuss some figures. But let me go many years back to 2016 or 15 when the team of Uliana Suprun came up with this reform. And I would like to express gratitude to the team that together with USAID, you so nicely planned that years ahead so that it's impossible to reverse this process and to revert it. And maybe we are the only country now who are doing that so fast and so efficiently. Now let's proceed with the figures and with what we wanted to convey today. So now the market of medications, and these are two parts. One is on medical products and the second on medical devices. So I believe that this is interesting because these are different categories and thus they behave differently. Pharmaceutical market fully reflects all the challenges in the recent 5 years. Here, 6 years even are covered. So we remember the COVID situation and then the full-scale aggression. We could see that in 2023, the market slumped, but it has recovered quite okay, quite well, and mostly due to involvement and participation of the state. That is so important. The recent figures for 2024 indicate that all in all, this market has reached almost 80 billion hryvnias. This is without VAT, purchase price without VAT, and that's significant. Growth of the market equals 27%. It is a lot. In packages, it is also significant. That's 20%. So believe me, over the long history of the market, we witnessed various situations. So all in all, public procurement is growing faster than the retail segment. That includes procurement by hospitals and the health care departments and reimbursement. Now, if we go and see how this market is distributed, you will see that the state compensates for 30% of all the needs for medical products. We see that this proportion has increased. If we distribute it by channels of funding, that's what comes from the central budget, from hospital budget, and from healthcare departments' budgets. We see that among all of the stakeholders, the greatest amount of procurements are conducted by healthcare facilities and the departments, health departments, and a significant proportion of that is medical procurements, and reimbursement part is also quite significant, 7% now. Let's see by month. transition, because we divide the procedures into tender procedures, simplified procedures, and Prozorro Market procurements. It became mandatory in July last year. And what happened to medical products? Look, there is certain seasonality of procurement, of course, and as soon as new budget is launched, hospitals, in order not to lag behind, they start procuring medical products. So, of course, above all, that's about that. And if by the end of the year they have money, hospitals try to buy what they are lacking then. So over the first half year, the proportion of procurements via Prozorro Market procedure was 77%. I believe that's cool. That's a very good figure. 20%, it is still bidding procedures. So this transition is happening and quite fast. If we look at the leading companies for decentralized procurements, we can see that above all, the first 7 items out of 15 are local companies: Urea Farm, Farmac, Mistral Capital, which is semi-domestic, Darnica, Arterium, Zdоровье Group, and Biopharma. But what's interesting is that look how successful foreign companies are. Boehringer, MSD, Roche, they are among top 10 procurements, decentralized procurements. And over the first 6 months, the growth has been quite significant, both all in all in the market and also for company-wise. And this is distribution of therapeutic classes. Here, if you see all the procedures and Prozorro Market separately, there is almost no difference between the proportions of therapeutical classes that are procured via Prozorro Market and in general, because the proportion of Prozorro Market is huge. Therapeutic classes fully reflect now the need of a country at war. These are solutions, antibiotics, heparins, narcotic analgesics, and this is decentralized procurements via tenders. They still procure oncology treatments. That's interesting. You see that above all, that's about solutions and antibiotics. Regarding distribution, this is very interesting. We discussed that. We see that we can look at distributors in general and distributors in Prozorro Market. The proportion of distributors in Prozorro Market has increased several times. In Prozorro Market, we have distributors, not only the familiar ones. Well, I mean, we respect them anyway, but I mean that in Prozorro Market, pharmacy chains are involved. That's an interesting trend, and direct suppliers, Ukrainian producers who supply via Prozorro Market. It's interesting to discuss pharmacy chains as well. They have marketing agreements. They can set lower prices, and in this way, they compete with distributors in Prozorro Market. And we believe that's interesting. But the number of offers, if we check the tenders, the costs, it may be 5, 7 to 8 distributors, while in Prozorro Market, it is going to be 25 or 30 or more. So there, the number is much bigger. Medical devices, that's a very interesting scene. We monitor them as well as medical products. Medical devices, you see that the dynamic is huge there. Involvement of the state is significant. It has changed since 2019. And in blue, you see retail pharmacies, and the state has managed to significantly penetrate into this segment. The total volume of the drug market is 14 billion hryvnias over 12 months to date. The growth is a bit lower than in so for devices, it is a bit slower than for medical products. And we see that reimbursement is also appearing there. The proportion is so far not that huge, but the trend is good. Now let's look at the proportion, the share of the state and who's involved. We see very high proportion from the medical procurement. This is centralized procurement of medical devices and equipment. There we didn't cover really large units because that would be huge. These are the most popular devices and basic equipment. It does not include vehicles, ambulances. And you see that almost half of the budget happens via decentralized procurement by healthcare facilities and departments. And that's a very significant proportion. And of course, that goes via Prozorro Market. How the evolution was happening here, let's look at that. There is, above all, no seasonality, not so obvious, at least for meds, because maybe the hospitals keep their budgets till the end of the year, and there they start procuring medical devices. Transition to Prozorro is also quite obvious. Now it is 42% of the total scope of the devices. That's what's happening on Prozorro Market now, and that's cool, again, over the short period of time. Leading companies here are different from the meds. Here we see in top position foreign international companies. There is significant redistribution of the market happening. Let me emphasize that because not everyone manages to respond to what's happening in procurement. For example, those who follow the trends, they quickly moved to Prozorro Market and they started working using this tool. For example, for dialysis, B. Braun, Resenius, and Baxter. We can see redistribution where companies respond quickly because somebody responded, tracked the new tool, somebody responded fast, some did not. Now, let's look at the assortment, what they procure above all under all procedures and in Prozorro Market. Dialysis is the leader for the general procurement. This reflects the trend that is war-related. Number two, this is consumables for surgery, syringes, systems, gloves, intravenous cannulas, dressing material. And number 10, there's arterial venous catheters and blood vessels. So while for Prozorro, these are general use categories, syringes, dressing material, you can see that in Prozorro Market, we also see a lot of suture material because we classify that according to types and so on. And also syringes of various categories that goes via Prozorro Market. This is less differentiated products because when we speak about the need to differentiate these goods, that goes via, they go via tenders. Now regarding distributors here, we do not see that significant concentration. Mostly distributors supply specialized goods like dialysis, dial life, for example, dial service. If these are syringes and stuff, we see also specialized distributors. Here, we do not see pharmacies. They are virtually not involved because it is hard to compete with the professionalized or narrow distributors there. We believe this is a very interesting slide because this is the average cost of package for various channels and for various procurers. While on average in the first 6 months, the cost of package, and this is not price, right? You understand. This is the procurement cost via various channels. So the average cost was 118 hryvnias compared to 156 in the state procurement. But what was surprising, healthcare departments have the highest price, the highest cost of per package, both for tenders and in Prozorro Market. Healthcare facilities have the lower price. Prozorro Market, the price is the lowest. So it means that the category of goods, if we speak about categories, so the goods that are where the turnover is the fastest, right? So we divided them by categories and let's see what's happening there. We show here the rating for first 6 months of the brands that procure via various channels and various procedures. If we see that departments of health at the cost of additional funding from local budgets, they can procure innovatory treatments, and the leaders are Truda, Spinraza. And here you can see the cost per package as procured via different various channels. Via Prozorro Market, they do procure a bit cheaper goods, while via tenders, it is more expensive. And the cost of the same assortment that is procured by medical procurement. So let's look at prices by channels. The lowest price would be for medical procurement state enterprise, and that's due to hard work that you are doing. Now speaking about the proportion of local producer. That's an important indicator that we always pay attention to. The entire market, and for medical devices, it is 40% for medical products, 33% for medical devices. The highest proportion will be for Prozorro Market. They use this instrument to work, to earn money, and to save as much as possible. And now my conclusions. This tool is working very efficiently. We see good results, which makes it possible for hospitals to procure fast, efficiently those products that they need. And of course, there are challenges and bottlenecks, but we are working on that together. And I believe that further on, we will be happy to present more initiatives that we develop with businesses there. And thank you. I will be happy to answer your questions. Thank you, Irena, for very detailed analysis. And let me remind you that all the materials, the presentation will be available to you. You indicated your mails when registering, so you don't need to take photos. Though it is very valuable. Now let's hear from experience of a hospital. I am inviting Sergei Vazyanov, the director of Urology Institute. Sergei, the floor is yours. Hello, dear colleagues. Frankly speaking, well, these are outstanding presentations, and on the one hand, that makes my presentation a bit shorter because you understand that for me personally too, it was so interesting to hear what's going on. So if you allow me, I would like to speak a little bit about the facility that I work at and about our results as a result of working with Prozorro Market. So just a couple of words about our facility. We were established in 2065 as the Institute of Urology and Nephrology. Then we formed part of the Academy of Medical Sciences. In 2010, the Academy got the name of the National Academy of Medical Sciences of Ukraine. And since 2011, I've been leading this institution, which is an honor for me. You see a significant number of areas that we work in, almost 460 employees, 46 researchers, 70 practitioners, doctors, 2 academicians, 1 corresponding member of the National Academy of Sciences, 12 professors, 22 doctors, 38 candidates, and PhDs, 14 research units. Currently, we are the top research and clinical facility, and our status is such. Let me also add that our employees over the year, they not only conduct research activities, but they also treat patients, and the number of patients that we cover annually is 5,000 to 6,000. And in the best pre-COVID year, back then we had 7,300 surgeries. But back then we did not yet categorize those basically interventions where we needed 3 or 4 operations at the same time. So we just indicated that as one interaction. So if you multiply that several times, that will be much more, of course. Our employees who engage in the international associations is huge, and we work with European Association of Urologists, European Association of Sexual Medicine, World Global and Urological Society, Polish Society of Urologists, and so on and so forth. I will not list them all. However, I wanted to emphasize the following aspects of our work. Starting mid last year, we fully transitioned to conduct procurements via Prozorro Market. And let me mention the following. I will not explain how it happened before those tenders, because people who worked on that, well, they know how it happened, and those who didn't have the experience will never understand. So, of course, if you used to develop those tender documents, you know what that is, and maybe you wince just when you think about that. How long it was going to happen, whether the results, the decision would be withdrawn after 45 days of waiting. So anyway. 98 procurements were made via Prozorro Market. You can see the figures. Expected cost 14.9 million, but as a result of signing the contracts, it turned out to be 11.2. So the economy, the saving was 25%. And you may be surprised that we are respected public-owned institutions subordinated to the National Academy of Medical Sciences, and now we report on 14.9 million. And I believe that the amount of procurement in regional hospitals would be 2 or 3 or even more times higher. But you just see in what conditions we work, because we still use budget funding, and then we will have a contract with the National Health Service starting from the 1st of January. Then we will start providing for ourselves, our own needs. So we will see what happens, but so far, as you can see, we don't have that much money. So the saving was 25%. And this is, I believe, very good. And
Зупинятися, тому що
Okay, I won't focus too much on the benefits because all previous speakers talked about it many times, explained how it's supposed to work, how it's already working, what are some perspectives of future development of procurement system using based on Prozorro Market. And on my part, I would just to show you some successful examples. These are only 3 examples of procurement, of expected procurements, and happened based on agreement. So fentanyl, paracetamol 105.07, levofloxacin 110.0. So you see, in addition to most important idea of cost saving, well, I want so I'll be honest with you. You perfectly understand what does it mean, what the 20% of savings mean when you actually don't have enough money. It's very interesting, and it's also important to remember that eventually each document is signed by the institution manager. So any questions? Why did you purchase it at 110 rate? This is a question that can and must be asked by regulatory bodies and supervisory bodies. So you need to explain why haven't you saved some costs if you could potentially buy it officially 2 to 3 times cheaper. That's how you are protected. Everyone is protected. And moreover, so that's how you have a chance to save money, and it actually works. As for my expectations, I really would like to expand the range of items. For example, now I don't know how about in the rest of the country, but right now urology is moving to the high technology non-invasive surgery. So if we talk about our institute, for example, so the number of non-invasive procedure to treat urinary calcinates includes percutaneous surgery, percutaneous removal, and distant removals of calcinates. And it accounts for a significant share of our procedure. So out of 1,000 of patients with these urinary stones, only 8 get open surgery, while other patients get non-invasive treatment. And with a similar, simple hook or barb or just a stitch, you won't be able to achieve such an outcome. Of course, it's not a crime, but it's really mm, im- inappropriate practice in modern age. So when we have access to to what we need, on a top priority basis for laparoscopic surgery, because if we compare this age and all the times, so right now after intervention cardiology, the urology, laparoscopic surgery belong to top 3 most expensive procedures. So just a rub 12 French gauge drain tube won't be enough. They're outdated. They don't meet the requirements of the modern world. And just to sum up, just to summarize my very emotional speech, let me wish you great success, not just with procurements, but also the victory in this war, peaceful sky, health, and much love. Thank you so much for your attention. Mr. Sergey, thank you so much. Indeed, very amazing emotional speech. Thank you so much for honest feedback. We have listened to you, and our colleagues from eCatalog will implement these changes. Thank you so much. We have a deal. So the first part of our event is over. Then we're about to have an open mic panel discussion. And now I kindly invite you to enjoy your coffee, and we will meet at 12 here at this room. Okay, so I will kindly ask you to come and take your seat. We will wait just a few more minutes before we start. I will also kindly ask my colleague to go to the catering zone to check for our colleagues and call everyone here to the large hall. And while we are getting ready, let me remind you one again about security rules. If a red alarm is suddenly triggered, we will have to interrupt our events and go down to the shelter. If suddenly we experience a power outage, we will need just a 5 to 10 minutes until a generator is switched on and we can continue our events. So let us start. Meanwhile, please take your seats. And our today panel discussion is of slightly unusual format. As I already said, it's open dialogue format. We have received so many questions asked during registration and from our online participants. By the way, right now we have online broadcast on YouTube and in Facebook of medical procurements where you can ask your questions in the chat. And since we have so many questions, we think it's really important to have this discussion in the open dialogue, open mic format. So the rules are simple. We will kindly ask our audience to raise your hand. We have two of my colleagues in the hall with a microphone. Please introduce yourself, take microphone, ask your question. Please ask only one question because we have so many of them, but we want to receive as much feedback as possible. One audience from hall, one audience from registration pool or from online participants, so we can cover everyone. And now, let me please introduce our speakers, our panelists. It's Vitaly Ovsyannikov, he's advisor at the e-Catalog Administration Department at Prozorro Market. Igor Archipenko, Chief Commercial Officer of e-Tender Platform. Natalia Kovalyova, Head of the Kupivli Pro Platform. Katerina Chernenko, Head of Governmental Customer Department at Smart Tender Platform. Irina Shurakivska, Head of Public Procurement Department at Play Tender. And Anna Kostyryova, Head of Governmental Customer Department at DZO. A round of applause, please. And let us start with a question from the audience. I'm here to help you. So, You know, as Alexandra mentioned, we're about to have quite an exciting format where we have a where we are going to be friends. We're going to have a friendly environment. You can ask any questions. We will do our best to accurately answer them, and we here to say the truth, to discuss any pain points. We hope for constructive discussion, maybe to hear some of your expectations, and just to get a bit closer because we are going to have a very friendly environment here. I will share with you something no one knows. Today, people talked a lot about the first procurement that happened on September 6, 2019, but no one knows how did it actually happen. This story is quite an interesting one. Why? Because there is such a thing as a fate, you know. So back then, in August, me and my team who just started at a new place. So we had a kind of tour around the southern cities of Ukraine. Back then, we visited Odessa, we visited Kherson region, city of Kherson. We returned, and you know, we prepared lists of hospitals in that cities, facilitated events very similar to this one, and we started to process this list. I called my colleagues who signed up to offer market to them. Back then we had a pilot project, not so many categories, right? And Nadia Bigun, who was present today, mentioned that the first categories were created manually by Nadia herself. So there was only 10 to 15 categories. I called all my colleagues personally and suggested, let's run a procurement. And I had connections in these regions. I called to all my connections, and everyone declined. Oh, we're afraid, we're concerned, we don't know yet, we don't know it, we're not ready, we have already procured everything. Many answers like this, of course, and and so I Google Kherson hospitals. Search, see the first page generated by the search engine. I dial the phone number. I just found a phone number of the procurement officer online. A very nice woman. We started a conversation. I told you a little bit about Prozorro Market. She said, have you been at this event? What kind of event? No one invited me. Well, we visited Kherson Regional Administration. We invited people from all healthcare facilities in the region to talk about market. She said, well, actually, I'm from Kharkiv. I was like, okay, Kharkiv, fine. Okay, how about we do a procurement? Well, we have already procured everything, but maybe you have something. Listen, we wanted to buy forceps because it was very small procurement, 6,000 hryvnias only. What kind of forceps do you need? She gave me specifications. I quickly called my doctors. We created this category. We created a profile. And that's how we had our very first 6,000 hryvnias procurement. Kharkiv Pediatric Hospital number 2. Unfortunately, I look through the list of participants. We don't have people from that hospital here. But if by any chance you're watching us on YouTube, well, please accept my words of appreciation. You started this new era, the evolution of e-catalog. So you are the pioneers. Applause. And now let's start with our questions. Thank you so much for such a detailed overview of our history. And let's start with a question. This question was asked by online participants and during registration, expanding the product range. Many people complain that you don't have enough items. I think it's one of the top questions. Please. And what do they want? Not enough? Okay, fine. Well, actually, these, indicators, creation of categories, adding items are quite dynamic. It's changing every day. We add some new categories, create some new profiles, add some new items literally every day. But it's very important to note here that over the course of last year, this evolutionary year. Oh, by the way, before coming to this reading, it was my first time when I read the definition of the word evolution. It was very interesting how in the dictionary, what's the definition of evolution in a dictionary. So, during this evolutionary period, we made quite a progress with technical solution. We have created some tools which will help us to expedite the process of creating new categories and new profiles and adding items because it used to be one of the roadblocks. You've heard our previous speakers, Nadia was talking a lot about it. You know, the e-catalog may look quite simple, but behind the curtain, there is a lot of technical work being done, and this technical work is quite complicated. So right now we're working on the tools with the help of our partners, with the help of our colleagues, Prozorro, various platforms, our IT engineers, our IT team. We have created some tools which definitely will make our life simpler in terms of administering the catalog. It's true for number of categories, number of goods, quality of goods, number of profiles, etc. So I really hope that everything that can be fit into e-catalog, such as well-known marketplaces, we wanted to make it similar to marketplace. We don't mind. We want as much categories as possible, but unfortunately, we won't add everything to catalog. We won't be able to to cover everything objectively. But first of all, we focus on the categories of goods that can be classified and standardized. Some goods are difficult to standardize, but the catalog is about standardization, standardized goods, categories, and profiles. So yes, it's small, but it has grown over the course of last year. We have increased the number of categories by 150%. I hope we will maintain this trend in the future. Yes, please. Yeah, so we have one microphone for all of you. Maybe you can share some of more number because people come to us says not enough good items, not enough categories. You always say we are working on it, we are doing good, but you know that this journey is built in a way that you need official inquiry to add an item. Have you processed all the inquiries, all the requests, and what kind of requests you don't process at all? So what items we shouldn't expect at all, and what's this journey from a moment of application until a dish emergence of the item in the e-catalog? Okay, so let me respond to it. Right now, the electronic catalog contains the entire list, the national list of medicines, around 500 categories, and it's about 700 units, items, and most of these categories were created over the course of last year. And then we talk about medical devices, medical products. The situations here is a bit different because we have around 300 categories of medical devices, and of course, it's not enough. But some categories are much needed, such as consumables. And as for creation of categories, this process is actually regulated. We have standard operating procedures, how we're supposed to work, how category management at eCatalog is supposed to operate, and we have certain grades there. First of all, we fill in the categories that the government considers mandatory. Of course, so if government considers this category mandatory, they're supposed to be added to the electronic catalog. Next step is analysis. We explore using various analytical tools which categories are the most popular among healthcare institutions. A very simple example. If, for example, out of 300 healthcare institutions, 2,999 procure antibiotics, this will be a top priority category and the e-catalog. And the third factor is requests from hospitals. We consider these requests as applications, but it's only third priority, right? So when we receive a request from a healthcare institution, we will definitely analyze this category because once again, a catalog is a very complicated system and it's very difficult to make some categories that cannot be standardized or aggregated. Sometimes we receive such requests from hospitals, but we're doing our best. As Artem said, we are working for you and our client, our key beneficiaries, healthcare institutions. So, of course, we explore the categories. Can they be added or not? And it's about adding categories suggested by suppliers. Now let's talk about the goods. I received many questions, many letters received from you, from hospitals. Please add this product, this particular product, this trademark. Well, if it's about pharmaceuticals and someone asks us to ask a certain medicine, we go to the state register of medicine. We clearly see the name, all the relevant codes and specifications, the active ingredient dose. There is a register. We, as the entity responsible for administration of catalog, can easily use to add a product to our catalog. As for medical devices, here the situation is slightly different because we don't really see the item. The supplier doesn't bring it to us. We don't accept it. We cannot touch it. We just create specifications, and we have kind of internal term. The administrator is not adding the goods, we are validating goods added by a supplier. And here's the questions, it's question towards supplier. If you want something special, something supplied by your contractor, you can order them to qualify for electronic catalog and add this item. And when we talk about submission of these items, this process has changed. Now it's much simpler. The supplier may log into a dashboard, and there are several ways to add a product. They can just do it themselves. Then we will do the validation, and if this product actually meets the chosen criteria and categories. I hope I have answered your question. Thank you so much, Vitaly. We have another question from audience. Please introduce yourself. Just a second, just another point from me, just to prove what Vitaly said. We indeed track the number of goods added every weekly. And if we talk about medicine and medical materials, these are dozens, hundreds added every week. So please make your questions more specific. Do we miss we're talking about the consumables for dialysis, for equipment? A question from the audience, please. Hello, my name is Oleg. I'm a director of Novovolinska City Hospital in Volyn region. So I have managed this hospital for 3 years. I'm a medical practitioner at the same time. So I'm present here both in my capacity of administrator, who, thanks to your efforts, has much less troubles, much less context with various structures because I'm protected. And thanks to you, the life of my procurement officers is much easier. But I'm also here in my capacity as a doctor. And I would like to bring your attention to the following. Any system is designed to provide practical assistance for the Ministry for the Healthcare, and we divide this procedure in several stages. We all know that medications are prescribed by a medical practitioner. So this system is needed not for administration, it's needed for doctors. Doctors prescribe medicine based on protocols and standards. And if you have good, high quality contact with the urology institute, for example, I'm a urologist myself. I defended my graduation thesis at this institute, and we, as urologists, we always pioneered for standardization. We took European standards, adapted them to Ukrainian realities, and we know that all urologists prescribed certain categories of medicines. In Prozorro Market, it doesn't matter who the manufacturer is. But I would like to ask the following question. Do you keep in touch with certain consultants, with Association of Urologists, Association of Endocrinologists, Gynecologists, family doctors? Why? Because you're always in a position where you need to catch up. You're never going to be a pioneer unless you have an expert support. If the treatment strategy changes, a new medicine is introduced, I, as a urologist, needs to open this catalog and make sure that this medicine is available there. And I need to file a request to the medical director. Medical director will contact procurement officer. Procurement officer will open it and say, hey, look, we don't have this group of medicines in there, and there is a big issue. So you're constantly filling your catalog, you're catching up, you're reactive, not proactive. I don't know, maybe it's ongoing somewhere behind the curtain, because I really like your system. It has very high quality, it's changing dynamically thanks to your effort. So if we have a contact since the very beginning, if you know that there are going to be some changes in treatment protocol, if something is added, you need to make sure that this drug is added to a catalog so as an administrator can procure it, and the price is a kind of side effect. Moreover, today there are many consumables that unfortunately enter Ukrainian market because of lobbying. You know, companies are lobbying some trials, some researchers to enter the market, and unfortunately, on Ukrainian market we cannot buy them. I would like to bring attention to this fact. My third point, very promising point in my opinion, there is a lot of equipment imported into Ukraine as humanitarian aid. New equipment in the last year, mm, we have received equipment of almost 30 million wars. Some equipment was provided by Belgians, by Americans, and we cannot buy consumables. We have a collision regulator ask us why you have several million worth of equipment at the hospitals, but you don't use it. Well, because we don't have consumables. I cannot procure consumables. Do you have any friends in the medical procurements? Because the first question is very relevant. We are ready to respond to it. Well, you actually do. Well, I think my colleague will respond to your first question. Please. Hello, dear colleague. I also worked at Urology Institute in the past. I defended my PhD thesis there because I'm also a medical doctor, PhD. I'm a radiologist. And actually, one of the newest strategy we have is cooperation with hospitals as our customers, and then in the second stage, cooperation with suppliers. And at the given stage, we have already conducted 3 consultations with professionals from various areas. We didn't yet have any consultations with urologists, but we already have a quite a significant consultation on dialysis with large dialysis centers. They provided us explanation of specific nature of this procedure, vision of doctors, and we already started to work in this area. We also have similar plans for other problematic categories we see, because right now we're reviewing, revising our categories to make them more specialized, more easier to understand for doctors as the key users. and I'll be responsible for this direction because throughout my entire career, before medical procurements, I've worked at hospitals at various positions as a doctor, as a department manager. So we are working what you're talking about, and I think we are quite successful because over the course of the last 2 weeks, we had 3 expert consultations.
And I would also like to comment on the following, that we hear the two sides actually. On the one hand, these are practitioners, healthcare practitioners who use certain materials, but we have the other side of that, and that's businesses who are the best experts in selling, procuring, producing, manufacturing these materials. They know their materials best. And in the recent months, we've been planning, and actually we've been in contact with the associations of medical devices and their producers, distributors. So there we are going to move in the both directions. On the one hand, that's the healthcare community, but also business representatives, those who deal with production or selling those devices. So those products. And our assignment is to make sure that this is going to be quality products. The customers asked us a lot of questions about quality of the goods, and we definitely keep an eye on that. We are working hard to make sure that only quality products are in the catalog. Okay, that was from the audience. Another question in the chat. It is more technical one, so addressed to the platform. Sometimes there are two different products under one profile, and when you choose one of them, sometimes you cannot choose the other one. And also, if there are several goods with with the same characteristics or with different characteristics, but participants do not read those. So how to make sure that you procure what's needed? Well, I don't quite understand the question, but let me try and explain how it should be and how this kind of procurement happens. So when we use e-catalog, we always tell our customers because they may confuse. They may see a product on the platform, they want to buy that, but then eventually other participants win. Why? Because the offer to submit proposals in the catalog is based on standardized specifications. We used to refer to them as profiles. Now in the new version, they are specifications, but we can proceed with the reference as profile. And these are terms of reference of what you're going to procure. So it consists of certain criteria and values for those criteria. And it may be from 1 to 2, for example, if we speak about gauge or the color blue, yellow, green, for example, gloves. So when with this profile, with this specification, we cover several products, and there may be a lot of them from various producers, trade marks and suppliers, and so on and so forth. So when you announce procurement under this profile, the supplier, the vendor wins who comes up with the most economically beneficial price. At the same time, the product that they offer to you is in line with all the requirements of the profile. I believe you were asking about that, but there is another way. When we speak about that, it's not standard procurement procedure or the suggestion to submit proposals. There is another procedure that makes it possible for the customer to buy exactly what they need, including the brand, trademark, if it is allowed by the administrator. According to our resolution, it is possible to procure products with specific characteristics. However, there are some limitations there. This is up to 500 hryvnias annually based on CPV code. So if the administrator includes these categories, there was a question also about whether it's possible to choose a brand when conducting the procurements. If the administrator included that you can choose a brand, you can choose it. Usually in medical procurement, it happens rarely. Very rarely, there are these categories where brands are indicated individually. There are such categories though, but they would depend directly on the product. Because there are products that, for example, are compatible with just one piece of equipment. For example, for glucometer test strips, of course, they correspond to the corresponding equipment or the vials where you can choose the brand. So to make it simpler, if you have Xerox, for example, you have to use Xerox cartridges, right? So that is why our colleagues also anticipate this procedure. Okay, thank you. Something to add. If I got it right, also, there was a question about different lens 4 or 5 for this specific product that they want to buy, and suppliers do not read notes. They do not have to. On Prozorro Market, the product that the supplier is supposed to submit to you or to offer to you must meet technical characteristics of the profile. If that's allowed, if the profile is established as 4 or 5, they can offer that to you. In that situation, if there is no respective profile and if the customer can explain why 4 is more important than 4.5, for example, you need to contact the colleagues so that they develop this profile, and then you will be able to buy only 4 or 5, because otherwise it won't work even if you make notes. As Vitaly mentioned, in the major platforms, it is already possible to see on the map of the goods, it's possible to see which profile that include. And in those categories where it is possible to buy that specific commodity with all the characteristics with the brand, there you will see that it may depend on the name, but you can buy that specific product. Where it's not possible, it will be indicated that you can buy this product as well, but based on the list of characteristics. I would also like to add about the notes. The suppliers do not read notes, and they are not supposed to, as Ihar mentioned, but they are supposed to read the draft contract, which is most important for any kind of procurement, because they agree to conditions of those. And 50% of success in procurement is the draft contract. If it's hard for you to develop it, there is the template of the draft that was developed by the health service and the procurement. This is quite a typical contract that will help you out. Thank you for this straightforward but very helpful advice. And any questions from the audience now? Volodymyr Kamenchuk, Police Regional Oncology Center. 2 figures. In this year, we had 51 procurement for medical products, more than 50 million for devices, almost 70 procurements for 15 million. There are problems that we face when we try to procure devices. Why? In the same profile, there may be very different things that may be very different regarding how they can be used. For example, the fixture for the pipe for operations I mean, very different products may have the same profile, or catheters, for example. You can only choose the starting gauge. I don't need 15, I need 14, but I can only choose something that would be higher than that. I mean, it would be important for us to have the opportunity to at least choose the gauge, the size. And also you mentioned the first procurement that happened when we needed to buy tools, needle holders and stuff. It was not available on the market. Nobody wants to go to to a procurement procedure if it is like 3,000 or so. Maybe it would be possible to add that. Please make it possible to differentiate it more, not only the profile, but also these dynamic characteristics. Because there are categories, irradiators, for example, when you can choose dynamic characteristics, you choose those, you see 3 different products there, and then add to basket, you don't see this button. And out of the 5 profiles, you have to choose something that you don't really need. Then why make it possible to choose if you anyway have to use the profile that was pre-set? So we expect more dynamic approach there, because suturing material, a lot of items, but only up to 500,000. We need them for 3 million annually. I don't need a thinner a thread. I need this particular one. So it would be important to think about how to provide for that. You can go ahead. Maybe you need to indicate which platform you use, and the colleagues can comment on dynamic profiles. But regarding the first question, why we have that situation that sometimes in profiles there is a very extensive range of medical products. This is from the past general profiles, when there was no opportunity to create a lot of categories of profiles with special scripts, or and there were no special instruments to add those products massively. Well, that was done manually, and to provide for needs of hospitals, the profiles were created where the range was very extensive. Case by case, we are revising that. We see where they buy more of those, and that's our priority, but all of them will be revised in a while. Speaking about the dynamic profile, there is this nuance. Some hospitals, some clients may on purpose choose the set of characteristics that reduce the competition number of competitors to 1. And when they put enough filters for that to happen, you cannot add that to basket. This is for fair competition. Well, again, depending on which platform you use, you can ask, definitely Vitaly can comment on suture material. You will be impressed with how much we added. Yeah, regarding the platform, we used 2. First, it was State Procurement Online. Now this is Market Pro or Zakupivli Pro. And this situation is everywhere, because the platform only gives you the tool. It doesn't change the profile, right? And also, if I may, there is another issue, and that's, well, I don't know how it can be addressed, but the situation is that you have products, for example, a table for your surgical tools. Sometimes you can choose a producer, you look at that and you click at that, and then all the competitors come there, and then instead of 8 days, it takes 1.5 months, while they start fighting. They say, well, this is going to be the specification, but I'm going to bring something else to you. So that's the issue, how to defend against this unfair competition. That's a problem even for producers. Thank you. I keep in mind that you were the first one to ask those questions, and we do have that issue with medical devices, and it's clear. Why? Because it's hard to standardize the medical part. When we speak about sickness, the gauge, we had a lot of issues with threats. A lot of hospitals came to us saying that they need this category because they procure a lot of that, and we tried to create it, but there is so much detail. Surgical suture, oh, that's about 16 criteria, I guess. And imagine that every criterion has at least one value. For example, we have this or that diameter, like 11, and the length 12. So if we created all of that and profiles, well, now we go into technical details, but just believe me that this category would require for us years of our work to make it easier for hospitals to procure that. We set up about 6,000 profiles. Can you imagine 6,000 profiles so that it were possible to at least conduct future procurements? And by the way, we have had a lot of questions like that. And basically over the last 2 months, we have not had a single question on future in the context of procurement. That's why I say that the medical part does require further development. And regarding the administration tool, we understand that we need significant profile, but that's about above all the technical aspects of that. And we have already resolved these issues with the colleagues. So we discussed that with Ksenia, and actually now when we speak about this new phase starting from September, that we have this medical part catalog, we refer to this period as 2.0, because now we are going to work on quality of data, quality of products, quality of categories and specifications. And the word evolution, that's about process of transformation and change and moving forward. And it makes sense because we are learning from all of our mistakes that we made before. That was the pilot project and mandatory categories, where we also had certain phases of that evolution. And now we need to make this tool more convenient, and it will be that. We cannot promise that we will do that tomorrow, but this is the process, the ongoing process. On the daily basis. We make sure that your procurement experience with the catalog is better. And we have this team here, and believe me, they work during the weekend and night because there were some addresses from hospitals and they needed to correct some bugs. So we are working for you. Same for colleagues from the platforms, because I've seen platforms where there was support, 24/7 support, even at night they were answering questions. Spoiler, if you cannot sleep while on shift in the hospital, that's a chance. Yeah, I agree, because I had a call from the medical procurement at 10 p.m. Well, that's not a good practice, but they are working hard. And where you choose some characteristics, you find some goods, but you still cannot buy that particular product. Well, with filters, you can narrow that down and find that, but also there are these profiles where you can collect those. Sometimes on the platforms, they are not that different, do not stand out. So there with the advisors, you need to sort of try and figure it out. And after a couple of procurements, you will see where you buy based on your characteristics and where it is just a filter. And the question about suppliers, that's a painful theme, because there are suppliers who are not good enough. There are the customers who try to go around the system. But for suppliers, there is this efficient tool now, and we will work on it further on with the colleagues if changes are made in the resolution. So now if you see that the supplier picked up a product from the catalog, and instead of bringing this particular product, they try to offer something like as if better, do complain to the administrator. And after we have a sufficient number of complaints, because maybe this is their normal practice, they will be banned in the catalog for 1 quarter, for 3 months. I tried to complain and I got the answer very fast, and they refused to respond, because to have that complaint met, first you need to sign the contract with the supplier. If they do not comply with the contract conditions, then they can respond, but not in the situation where they just offer some other products. And sorry, I still don't hear the answer to my question. Dynamic specification is limited to 500,000 and they need it for 3 million. I understand what I can choose and I know how to buy for 3 million at one time. Well, to put it simply, we do have the procedure where the customer doesn't have enough a dynamic profile and they need to buy another or the same product for the larger amount. In that case, you write a letter to us in any form convenient and we quickly develop the specifications. Have you ever contacted us with this request to develop the specification before? Have you tried that? But there is this nuance. Why? Because before we create the specification, the category manager checks. I mean, I see you write like letters, you need this and that. If it happens so that there is no competition in this specification, then the question is why it is there. This is standardized specification. Usually they are all set up. This is first thing. Secondly, we have a very good function, new function now, and this is support function. We have this hotline where you can call and tell us about your issues or send a request, address a request to us. And this tool, it is much more efficient and faster. When we receive messages, it takes time for us to respond. While where the support is working, and it is working now, more than 60% of those questions are addressed and resolved immediately. And also, do we have that profile thing for support, right? That's another life hack. You can even call by phone. Natalia would also like to add something. Natalia, you wanted to add to say something. I will have another question to platforms and I will pass the floor to you. I just wanted to confirm that there is this issue with suppliers where they send a response to your request and then basically they offer not the product that you indicate in the request. And currently we don't have this instrument that would make it possible for us to complain about that supplier. But we know about this issue and Thank you for addressing it, because we have that on our radar, and with the Ministry of Economy, we are looking for ways of solution. We understand how it may interfere in holding the procedure within the terms as we set and as you expect. So we can just say that we know about this issue, but we don't yet have any efficient tool in the system. That's only about negotiations with the supplier, talking to them about that. Now you shouldn't do that, because anyway, you will not buy what they are offering. And they interfere into the procedure in this way. And regarding your particular situation, as far as I understand, for the based on the dynamic profile, it now operates like that by design. But if you have questions about how to look for those products, call our help desk and we will always be happy to help you. Another question to platforms, Katerina, Irina, maybe you could address that in turn. If technically it is possible to see in the profile the average price, so that it were possible to see which price to indicate for the procurement item. Currently, there is no technical opportunity to do that, but there is BI Prozorro, a great tool. Please use it. This is so convenient. There you can enter your settings, and based on the procurements conducted, you can see who has already procured what at which price. You can check by region, by CPV code. There are different options, and that's very convenient. That's a free tool. You just go there and use that. Thank you. Irina, I have a question to you. Sometimes it is impossible to procure some products because the platform doesn't admit them. So why does that happen? That's the question. Let me say a couple of words to add to the previous question regarding price analysis. Let me mention that in our platform, we have this opportunity to determine the average price, but again, by reference to VI Prozorro. Finding a particular good that we are interested in, like the masks or gloves, you then press price analysis and the system generates the average price based on the code, based on the profile. And then you can choose also the time range, like 2024 or the quarter or previous months. How the price is generated. All the information comes from Prozorro system, and we take it based on the contract signed via the e-catalog. So these are actual contracts and prices signed with suppliers, so you can be guided by that. Regarding the next question, yes, these are exclusive products. And again, from time to time, there are questions about that these products are not reflected. Well, in this case, I can suggest that if these difficulties arise, please contact the platform. We always address any questions and we provide consultations as needed. So I guess that's it. Who asked this question? That's online in the chat. I mean, why do you try to add that product to the basket? Oh, I'm joking. Look, how the procurement of medical products happens. The third digit of CPV code, we know that, and we speak about that these pharmaceutical products can be procured with a certain list based on it. So there were questions about from suppliers and from the state, from us as well. We see that if a hospital procures like 100 items, there may be a product that is produced by just one producer. It may happen. In that case, for this procedure, We only provide access to the producer who has this list of products, 100, for example, products that are competitive and one that is unique. So in order to comply with the competition rules, the administrator limited their access to adding these products to the full list procured by hospitals. But it doesn't mean that you cannot buy it. You can. It is available on the catalog, but you procure that with a separate procedure. You procure all the products that are competitive, that have analogs. But if you really need a solution, for example, that is not 400 milliliters, but 403 milliliters, you procure that separately. For you, for the customer, the procedure is not going to be more difficult. You take what you need, and if an exclusive product is included there, it just automatically generates another procurement, and that's it. So if you need these items, you can buy that in the framework of a separate procedure. Competition, that matters, that's important. Thank you. And you have answered another question about exclusive products. A question from the audience. I'm approaching you. Hello, everyone. I am Dmitro Chenashko, and this is Chuhuiv Central Hospital of Kharkiv region. My question is about the VAT. And maybe it is not quite relevant here, but since Prozorro Market is a platform that is intended to make it possible to save the funds and to make life of customers easier, very often I have these situations where savings are not really possible because of VAT, where the VAT payer and the sole proprietor participate in the procurement. So I pay VAT, and everybody understands that if the difference is just 1 hryvnia, it makes more sense for me to buy from the entity that pays VAT. But for some reason, the system opts for the sole proprietor who sets the price 2 hryvnias lower, even if the scope is 1 million.
And another point is a certain difficulties related with the registration of contracts at the Treasury Office, because when you announce a procurement with with VAT and an agreement is signed without VAT, you need to provide a lot of explanations, write a lot of documents I'm not supposed to actually write. Okay, so please let me know what's your vision about value-added tax? So thank you so much. Well, it's a super challenging question related to Ukrainian economy in general. Unfortunately, we cannot solve it at our level, but I can give you some advices on what to do it as a centralized procurement agency. And until recently, we were exempt of the value-added tax. We procured everything. Pharmaceuticals, medicine, medical devices, exempt of value-added tax. But because we have a lack of money in the state budget, this exempt is over. And since this year, we are purchasing everything with a value-added tax. We buy everything with a value-added tax. And the problem you mentioned is difference between limited liability companies, private entrepreneurs, who are not value-added taxpayers. It's not that terrible in a Ukrainian scale, but my suggestion is the following. We announce all our procurements without value-added tax, and we make a note. If the winning entity is non-resident who is exempt from value-added tax, we will pay the value-added tax at the customs the offices themselves. If the resident distributor is a winner, we will pay a value-added tax to them. So basically, at our auction they have equal opportunities. So we assess the price without value the tax. And there is another thing. On Prozorro Market, everything includes value the tax. Now, it's no technical capability to announce a tender without value the tax. And when we buying the ambulance vehicles in the market, and they're exempt of the value the tax, there's a special resolution 1447, and there is a list of items exempt of value the tax during the martial law. So we realized that technically we are not going to pay a value-added taxes. So in announcement and in documents, we made a note that we don't have a technical capability to select a value-added tax-free option, but this procurement is exempt of value-added tax. So please apply with your prices with exempt of value-added tax. And we have no problem with registering such contracts at the Treasury Service. And the same is true when we announce a large procurement and we announce everything without value-added tax, and then we pay value tax. We consulted with different institutions, with the State Audit Service, with the Ministry of Finance, with the Treasury Office, and we feel like there is a risk that the auction ends at 100 hryvnias and the actual contract is 107 hryvnias. And some people may perceive it that the agreement is actually made for higher amount than mentioned in the contract and is prohibited in the proposal, but we did some consultation and there is a separate regulation that all taxes are defined by law, you have to pay them. That's how we decide on it. So maybe it will be helpful for you to also ensure these equal opportunities for third category private entrepreneurs and value the taxpayer. You don't have this problem with medicines. Medicines trade is subject to licensing. Private entrepreneurs don't have license certificates to do it. Most likely you're facing this problem when you deal with medical devices. And the only suggestion I can share is that we can give you some examples of our procurement. How do we put these provisions into a contract? Maybe it will be helpful for you, but actually this problem has lasted for entire period of independence of Ukraine, and no parliament, no cabinet of ministers have ever devised a solution of what to do with the private entrepreneurs from a first group, second group, third group, and the limited liabilities companies, how to make them equal. Probably we won't be able to address it here and now, but we have some suggestions on how to mitigate these issues. Thank you. Dear colleagues, we have just two more questions. One question from online audience and one question from our offline audience because it's already 1 a.m. and we're running out of time. Just a small question from me, not and so right now it's quite a relevant problem in my opinion. It's a reference price for medicines. We know that there are some unique medicines with the average reference price. And if the average medium price is 200 hryvnias, we announce the auction. And we know that the average price in Ukraine is 500 hryvnias, and no one applies for this auction based on protocols and standards. We're supposed to use this drug, and we have this problem. On the one hand, it's in the protocol, on the other hand, there's a reference price, and then we have real world market, the distributors, the customs costs, and eventually we are left alone because we fail to comply with requirements of the National Healthcare Service. We don't prescribe this drug. We don't receive compensations. A few months ago, we had a meeting in the Ministry of Healthcare, and I also and this problem was also voiced there. So my question is, you have more opportunities to reach out to government. Maybe it makes sense to create a platform that can import to Ukraine these unique drugs. There are only a few of them. Just around a dozen, and maybe you will be able to show to other agencies, to other companies that these drugs can be important with minimal margin and at a competitive price. But unless you do it, eventually the patients will be affected. Previously, we used a much simple procedure. Family members purchased it abroad, brought it into Ukraine, but no one cannot do it any longer. And when I treat a patient with a stroke, I cannot administer this drug to him unless this drug is purchased by me. What do you think about it? What's your vision? Sorry, I'm always taking microphone away from you, but I just don't think you will be able to answer this question, not because you don't know, probably you just don't deal with it. This problem has existed for many years, and it's true not just for Ukrainian market, but for European market in general. So right now we don't see any sense to create some separate entities to influence economy. Market is market. We don't need to interfere with the market. But maybe we need to update prices. Yes, we definitely need. Actilisa is not the only problem. These reference prices are taken from different countries, but the inflation rates in Ukraine sometimes do not catch up with the reference price update frequency. And so introduction of reference prices was also supported by our international partners, by SAFEMed project. And so thanks to this initiative, we have saved a lot of money because certain pharmaceutical companies saw that they can tell a 10 times higher price in a region because they don't have category expert evaluation, but this initiative was helpful to mitigate it. There are some points, up to 20 drugs with problems because the preference price is too low, no one can sell it, and in other situations, the actual price is much lower on the real world market, but on the list, the price is still high. So I think we will request for SMD some analytics, and we will together apply with the Ministry of Healthcare, and maybe even this year these prices will be updated and the problem will be addressed. Everyone is aware about it. Thank you. Thank you so much. And the very last question from our chat. And by the way, let me remind you, until 2 p.m. you will have a chance to have some informal communication, to drink a cup of coffee, and ask us the remaining question. So, person to resolution 1178 about procurement through catalog, a customer has narrow possibilities to cancel the procurement procedure and request for proposal procedures, such as lack of need for procurement, decrease of expenses for procurement if procurement is impossible as a result of force majeure events. But if something was done by mistake, if a mistake was made in when filling electronic form or in a contract, the lack of further need is not really appropriate. What the customer is supposed to do and what field to tick? Well, so what to do? I don't have a clear answer for it because whatever I respond is going to be wrong. Because in e-catalog, we still don't have such reason as a technical mistake by authorized person. And it's actually something we're working on with our colleagues right now. We have heard it and we have already suggested some amendments to regulations. And if it's approved, this point will be included. Thank you so much. We will be waiting for changes. Natalia, please. Well, actually, customers usually tick an existing reason. We can suggest, no, we can suggest other solutions because they are not supported by our normative base. There are no reasons like this. And Igor already did confirm that people are aware about this program, and we hope that in the next iteration of regulatory documents, we will implement it. So we are not able to give any recommendations right now because there are no regulated reasons. Thank you so much. And just since it's very last question, my very last point. If we review previous forms existing last fall, I guess right now it's been over 6 months earlier. Some questions were raised. Not all of them have been addressed. Not all decisions have been developed, but a number of such problem is already processed. There will be some changes to regulatory base, some technical amendments will be introduced with, so we sincerely appreciate its feedback through various platforms. We are your partner and we are supposed to collect the information about market, so the more you give us feedback about various pain points, the more open we are to listen to it, to discuss it, and to change it. It's very good that you contact administrators, you contact Prozorro. Please continue doing it. And just a very brief question from me. 6 months ago, we had a meeting do you feel like market has improved? Please raise your hand if you feel like that market is better now. Not so many hands. Okay, I think we need a better job. And who thinks that it deteriorated? Okay, everyone's afraid. Well, you can come to us in coffee break zone, the catering zone, and we will happy to listen to your feedback. Okay, thank you so much, dear participants, for this very fruitful discussion. Please, a round of applause for our speakers. Please let me remind you, if you want to ask a personal question, you still have a chance to do so. Dear colleagues, please don't leave. You still have a coffee break to discuss all these pain points. And if we haven't answered something, we will make sure to respond to you in writing. All of you will receive presentations, slides, materials, and reference links to our pictures taken today and answers to your questions. Thank you so much. Okay, I guess Vitaly wants to say something before we wrap up. Thank you so much. It's definitely not the last event. We feel the need to facilitate such events annually. So now Vitaly will announce some of our activities and we will see you again. Yeah. Okay, look, actually, to be honest, I really like to talk to the audience who's actually using the product we are creating. It gives us this space for growth and improvement. We hear your problems. We can respond to it one thing at a time, but still. And a little bit about our future plans. So last year we had meetings with many of you. We had a large tour over a country. We visited 15 regions where we met people from hospitals in every region. I wanted to collect the feedback and tell you a little bit about the catalog because we know and this percentage, 67%, it used to be much lower because honestly, not all hospitals are aware of it, despite the Prozorro has existed for 5 years. We've discussed a lot with various platforms. So task was to go to region, to go in field, to raise awareness about this tool and listen to their feedback. And my impression was after these trips, the people, these authorized officers, were still lacking some practical knowledge on how to use these tools, how to find a proper category, what's profile is, what are some legislative changes. So in this year, we decided to develop practical workshop in various regions of Ukraine. We will invite everyone. Of course, there will be some limitations regarding number of people for these trainings, but we will facilitate professional training, practical professional training for authorized officers on how to use electronic catalog Prozorro Market. Once again, it happens thanks to our donors and their support. SAFEMed, thank you for standing with us. And I think that we will start this process somewhere around the end of October. And we plan to visit as much regions as possible to not just talk, but to actually show how market works so we can teach authorized officers how to work with it. And my very last point, I really want to say it because when we traveled around this region, I was really impressed by one thing. We were in Vinica region, in the city of Vinica, and there was the largest hall in the history of our travel. I always carry my laptop with me, and I was curious how procurements are done in the region. So when colleagues did their presentation, I just opened it and saw one thing. I saw that from entire region, 70% of procurements were done by the same hospital. Just imagine it. Mohyliv Podilska Hospital. Your representative is nearby? Okay, it's clear. Okay, yeah, exactly. So, and I was really impressed. I was stricken by this number. 70% of all procurements in the region account to one single hospital. And so I asked, what's your secret? Do you really like our market so much that you, I mean, we did the statistic number of contracts, and the guys approached us and told us, and it's a real life hack for some people, a little spoiler. So how does this hospital do procurements? They don't procure large cart of pharmaceuticals. You mentioned you would normally try to procurements for large procurements. So what's the logic behind it? Guys told it was some maybe sometimes it's imperative, maybe sometime or maybe you were experimenting. But what does it mean? So it's very simple. It's common sense. Very simple logic. When you're not smaller tender, you have more opportunities to engage suppliers that will join this process. Of course, a little bit more contracts, but the results the guys had. Guys and look, boys and ladies, I just haven't talked to ladies, but their results are really impressive. So it's just a simple life hack for procurement of pharmaceuticals, medicines. The same thing is for European hospital. Do we have people from European hospital here? No, we had them last time. Okay, now the procurement officer works here at our place. So the situation here is following. I asked the person who conducted 90% of procurements using electronic catalog. I was really curious. I asked him, how does it work? Are you satisfied with the market? I heard various feedback. Some people haven't even raised their hand when I asked if it became better. But the answer was really simple. I'm learning. I'm watching webinars. I'm exploring platforms. I'm looking through educational materials and procurements. I've looked for everything ourselves. So 90% procurements isn't by but very simple logic. So please make sure to use it. And I also have another idea. I don't like social media, to be honest. Of course, sometimes I look through some communities. So I have an idea. We can use example of such hospitals. So, so we can create a platform where people have some experience and they can share the experience with you, with other hospitals. We can create some online community, some Facebook community where we don't complain, but we just do knowledge sharing. Hey, we did this procurement. We suggest you do this. We suggest you do that. So thank you so much. Please use it. Maybe in the future. We will lead the process of developing such community. We will help you to use this tool more efficiently. Thank you, everyone.
Запрошуємо всіх на кава-брейк.
Now, please enjoy your coffee break until 2 p.m.